Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are watching from. Welcome to this broadcast. My name is Mr. O, and if today is your first time of being here, I would love you to click on the share button, click on the like button, then also click on the notification button so that anytime I go live on my channels, you will be able to join me. We are broadcasting on both the YouTube and Facebook today. And today we're going to have a discussion about a topic that most of us, for some reason, shun away from, either for religious reasons, personal reasons, cultural reasons, or whatever reasons. We tried, or we deliberately or undeliberately try to move away from that discussion. I've even encountered adults, some adults that do not want to talk about it. But today, we're going to have a good discussion concerning it because it's something that I always say on my channel that will happen to everyone. Something that will happen to everyone. And so long as you are a young man, you are growing, you've been given birth to on this earth, it will happen to you. And also, another one will happen. But as I always say, don't let the two happen to you at the same time. Tonight, or this morning, or this afternoon, wherever you are, we have an honorable guest, a very wonderful sister, and a content creator as well. She's been on this journey for a long time. In fact, she's been through all the phases of this journey, and she's going to share her experience and she's going to throw more light on this issue that we've all been running away from. Welcome to today's broadcast as Aging Unscripted. Yes, this is Sister AC, Aging Unscripted. You're
Thank
welcome, my sister.
thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. O. It's such an honor to be here with you. We've been planning this for so long, so thank God it's finally happening. It's
Yes, so
such a great pleasure to be here. And thank you all for joining us today to talk about this all important conversation. I know you're all wondering what is Agent Unscripted? Who is this lady? Why should I listen to her? So let me start with a story.
yeah,
So you all just imagine, right, that today we have this world of online meetings, hybrid, working in a hybrid environment. So imagine it's a regular day. You've gone to drop off the kids. You've come home. You're online. You're working, actually in a meeting, and you hear your mom, AC, 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 really shouting, and your first instinct is to just run there, right? So that's, of course, that's what I did, to go see what's going on, because I know she's in the room with my dad. And I get there, and I know, there's a bathroom right next to your door. I was heading to your room, but I noticed they were actually in the bathroom. So I turned and I'm looking at them. Dad is laying on the floor. I'm not sure what's happening, but I actually see his eyes rolling, and literally it's almost like he's slipping away, right? And mom is like trying to keep him conscious, like Rich, his name is Richmond. So she's trying to keep him, awake and conscious so he doesn't slip away. And at that moment, a million things are running through my head. Okay, like what is happening? What should I do? You know how sometimes you're just in a panic state. You go from just chilling in a meeting, doing your regular job, and all of a sudden you're in a panic state. You can't think clearly. And the first
right.
thing that comes to my mind is 911, call 911, right? So I come back to my desk, I grab my phone, I'm calling 911, and I'm telling them, my dad he's passed out, and please come, blah, blah. I'm just trying to give them all the information. And they're like, mom, slow down, slow down. What is your dad's name? How old is he? I'm like, please come, because I'm like, why are you asking me all these questions now? Just tell me somebody's coming. He's like, and then the lady's like, I know, calm down. We've already sent someone. Hi, Letitia. We've already sent someone, here, on the way here, right? So just help me with these questions. Does he have any known medical condition? Like, she's asking me a billion and one questions. Some of them I know the answer to, some of them I don't quite know, right? And so anyway, they come, they put dad in the ambulance, take him to the hospital, and me and mom just jump in the car, following them, listen, at this time, you're not even thinking of anything. I left my meeting. Remember, I was in a meeting. I just left. Once we got to the hospital, they checked that in. Then I texted my boss and I said, I'm sorry that I disappeared. I had an emergency. I'm in the hospital with that. Okay. And it's like within a blink of an eye, everything just changes, right? And you're wondering, is he going to be okay? You're trying to let your husband know, you're trying to let your siblings know what's happening. Everybody's just in this frantic mode. Now, while all of that is going on, you have a mother-in-law in Ghana. She has been through a recent surgery, recovering. At least, that's how it looked, that everything was going well. She was recovering smoothly, progressing in the right direction. At least it seemed like that at first. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, she starts having complications, right? So you're on this end dealing with that and trying to figure out whatever had, gone on and trying to get help, getting to the bottom of it. And then my mother-in-law is also, deteriorating really fast. Her complications are getting more and more, and we don't know what's going on because she was actually supposed to be getting well, right? Everything was going smoothly until it was not, again, just happened overnight. And you're trying to figure out what is happening, okay? And stay with me, the story, right? So just keep imagining with me, this is what you're dealing with. And then out of just within maybe 2 weeks of all of this happening, right? That is not getting better. You're still going back and forth between the hospital. He's hospitalized at this point, right? Because they want to run a whole bunch of tests here in the US. They actually would pay attention to you, right, when you go to be seen. And so they're trying to get to the bottom of it to see what's happening, to get him the right treatment and all. And that's it's like you're wondering why you're even in this position in the first place. And the reason you wonder that is because your parents have been healthy. Your dad has been healthy, at least for the most part, as far as you know, right? He eats healthy. He, at least for the part that is within his control. Wasn't a big drinker. Doesn't even eat red meat. All these things, right? Because we have it in our minds that, okay, if you drink and you do this and you do that, then you're going to be, automatically sick and all these. But so for us, in our minds, that is healthy. He has a healthy lifestyle. So when this started happening, it just took us by surprise. Okay. And so then on the other side of the continent, also things are just seriously escalating. Sorry. And unfortunately for us, my mother-in-law passes. Okay. That was also very unexpected because, like I said, she was supposed to be getting well and the surgery went well. Everything went well. Unfortunately, she passes. We are dealing with these two now. Less than 2 weeks of her passing, you are looking at a cancer diagnosis with my mom. So basically, when somebody asks me, who is AC Netty and why did you start Aging Unscripted? I say that I am the daughter that has been through turbulent waters as far as parental health issues and aging, where parental issues and health issues and aging is concerned. I am the daughter that has been dealing with that for the past 2 years. I am the daughter that has had to take a few moments in the car and process the information that she just received about her mom's diagnosis and having to go into the house and go deliver the news to your mom, who is so worried sick about your dad. Okay. And you have to go and tell her because you took her to the hospital. They did a test on her lump and everything, biopsy, all of that. And you're having to go deliver the news because you looked at the report, right? And you have to go tell her, Mom, you have cancer and it's invasive. And here, imagine she's dealing with that, right? And everything he's going through, we are all trying to just process it all. And you have to go deliver this big news. I am also that mom of 2 kids, 14-year-old and a 10-year-old boy and a girl. And I'm that mom that suddenly gone from, being able to do so many things, taking them here, doing this, doing that. Now you have to tell them, oh, I can't go with you to the park. I can't take you to your sleepover because I have to take that to the hospital because I have to do this. So all of a sudden, the things that you used to do, you can't do it anymore, at least for a while, right? And so I'm that mom that's had to juggle all of that. I am that wife that has had to support her husband through 2 losses within a year. Both of my in-laws passed within a year. So I'm that wife that has had to support her husband as well through all of that. Meanwhile, dealing with all the things that we were dealing with on my side, right? I am that friend that has suddenly disappeared from the face of the planet because I used to be very active. I'm an instructor as well, gym instructor. High fitness is the format that I do. And my friends would tell you, suddenly AC disappeared. I did not have time to go to classes anymore. I couldn't do any of the things that I love to work out. I couldn't do any of them anymore. I am that sibling that has had to step up and just, wrangle the rest of my siblings together and make sure that things are heading in the right direction. Everybody is calming, keeping ourselves calm. All the while, me myself, I am freaking out, right? I am that IT manager. I'm an IT manager. I'm in the IT industry by profession. I am that IT manager that has had to take multiple calls in the hospital lobby. Okay, I've had to cancel meetings impromptu because this fainting spell that I talked about, it did not happen once, multiple times with that, right? So out of nowhere, I have to run off to the hospital. I have to, cancel a meeting. I have to take a meeting in the hospital while he's getting checked out, or while mom is doing chemo, or excuse me, getting her checkups and meeting with this doctor, trying to decide which type of treatments. So all of a sudden your world just changes. And last but not the least, I would say that I am that child of God that has learned to really trust in God. We all say, oh, I trust in God. I really trust in God. And that song that, we all, Oceans, I don't know, if you guys know it, Oceans, Spirit lead me where my trust is without borders, and I can tell you, I was being tested. My whole family has been tested for us to, see, is this, are you going to be able to still trust God when you are going through all of this, all 4 of your parents, so my parents and my husband's parents, all at the same time, right? So that's our journey. That is what it has been like. And Aging Unscripted was born because I felt like, look, this is real stuff. Why didn't anybody tell me any of this happens? I didn't think my parents were going to live forever. I didn't think my in-laws were going to live forever. But I felt like I didn't think about this. I didn't think any of this was going to happen at this time. This is the time when, you've gone through school, you're working, you're hoping to be able to take care of them, spoil them, do all these things for them as well, right? Because they've taken care of you. And so for this to happen, it was like, wait, what's happening? Why now? And we all know you're not supposed to be saying why me, but yeah, why not you, right? And I took this into prayer. I said, God, what do you want us to do with this experience you've given to us? It cannot be for nothing. If we've been through it and it's been hard, trust me, a lot of tears, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of financial, impacts, emotional impacts, all of that. We can, dive into that. But it's been a really rough journey. And I just felt like find ways to make this better for someone that has not been in this journey yet. Or if somebody's already on it, right? Find ways to support them. So that's how Aging Unscripted was born. I set out on a journey to share my story and encourage everyone to, start thinking about that. And then, hopefully with a little bit of preparation, you can be in a better spot than we were, or at least be better equipped to deal with it. So yeah, that's the story. And that's Aging Unscripted, and that's AC Nete. Mr. O, you're on mute. Or is it my end?
Sorry about that. That was quite a huge summary of yourself. I mean, a mother,
Yeah.
an IT manager, a gym instructor, a wife, a parent, and you are a child to parents as well. And
Mhm.
that is a whole lot. That is a lot.
A lot.
Now,
A
those
lot.
of
And
you
I
who are,
always tell that I like to tell the story from that angle, because then it gives you an idea, because at
yes, yes,
every point in time, we are all wearing different hats, and this is me right now.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you've given us the picture, and I love the way you give us the picture from the back end. We are going to start from the beginning.
Mhm.
So, for those, before we continue, those of you who are joining us now and wondering what is happening, we are having a live discussion with Aging Unscripted, one of our sisters who's been through a journey, and she wants to share with us. Go to her page, follow her page, make sure you follow her to understand this topic, this issue about aging. Aging. Aging has been something that has been sacred, that has been less talked about, that has been, I mean, I don't know, it's been shelved. And based on so many reasons, for some it's about religious beliefs, for some it's about our cultural trainings, and so many other things, But we want to actually take the covering of this topic
Yeah.
today so that all of us will understand it. Because as I always say, in this life, something will happen to you, you will grow old. You will grow old. Another thing that could also happen to you is you grow old and be broke. But you see, you
Double
don't want the
trouble.
two, yes, you don't want the two to happen to you, because our sister is going to walk us through. And at the point, we may have some other resource people joining us, or somebody who wants to share their idea with us also joining us to actually shed light on this topic and this understanding. Aging is something that we are all running away from. But no matter what you do, so long as you are human, so long as you are a living thing, you will age. You will age. Whether, I mean, there are so many anti-aging creams, anti-aging vitamins, but even that, no matter how, I mean, you see, we are the ground chimbo, you will not be more than a stone. So long as you are a living thing, science has taught us that you will definitely grow. And either you grow old and still you look young, or you grow old and still be old. I mean, whatever, it happens. Now,
Yeah.
Sister Isi, walk us through. Do you think there is a reason why we avoid these conversations about aging?
Yeah, there are definitely, excuse me, there are definitely multiple reasons. I think one of the most common ones is that it's uncomfortable, right? Because a lot
Mm,
of us associate
mm,
with associate aging with death. So
mm,
when you're thinking
mm.
about aging, we think about death, right? And I'm
Yeah.
going to focus on that. But before that, let's take a step back. I was speaking with my mentor the other day, and she was telling me, look, aging comes at all points of life. When a baby is born, technically they age into a toddler, right? A toddler
Mhm.
ages into a child. A child ages into an adult. So there's aging happening on all the entire spectrum of our life, right? Normally, yes, when we talk about aging, we're normally thinking about the latter stages where you're going old and becoming, a senior person, an elderly person, and all of that, right? But aging is really happening every time, and so this is where you when you think about it and you position yourself to realize that, like you said, Mr. O, whether you like it or not, it's coming. Upo wumpo is coming, right? So you better position
Yes.
yourself, right?
Mm, mm,
But I think that one of the number one reasons is the discomfort with it. We are not comfortable with death and the idea of death and the idea of leaving behind, the things we've built, the things we've acquired, the people we
mm,
love, all of that, right? So there's
mm.
that uncomfortable emotion or feeling that we have to deal with anytime we're talking about aging. There's also the part where we worry about the loss of independence. Imagine that you're able to get
Mm.
up and do everything you want to do whenever you want to do it. you eat, you drive, you whatever, you talk, right? And then suddenly you lose all these functions. It's a really tough thing, right? So
Yeah.
it's not something that I can, it's when people don't want to talk about it. I understand. It's not a fun thing to talk about. It's not a fun reality to embrace, right? So
Mm.
people shy away from that. I think another reason is some of our cultures. We think when we talk about it, we would be inviting some things onto ourselves, right?
Mm.
More particularly death, right? Or when you talk so much about death, you might be inviting death into your space. But that's, if that were the case, I don't think that my in-laws should have died because we never had any discussions about death, right? um, so it's clearly things happen, people die, and they may or may not have discussed it. So it has nothing really to do about with you talking about that, right? So it's a very a cultural thinking that we have, which I feel like we really, really need to let go of because it has nothing to do with what you talk about or not talk about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So because I believe, and I've seen this growing up, our elderly ones will always tell us not to do this, don't whistle in the night, don't do this, you are inviting this, you are
Right.
doing.
Yes.
I mean, they scare you with all these cultural beliefs, and we grow with it. So for the culture part, I can attest to that as well. And they
Mhm.
always encourage us, don't talk about this, don't talk about this, because you are inviting bad luck to yourself and all
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
And there were
Yeah,
times that, as you said, the loss of independence, that thought cripples some people. It
that's a big
cripples
one.
us a lot. And the loss, I mean, because one person who feared that thing was my dad. He died at 97.
Mhm.
And he was like, if he was alive today, he would have been over 100 because he he was born in 1909. Excuse me. And this is one person who doesn't like to be cared for, you know. Even in his 90s, 95, 90, he was still going to the farm, bathing himself, doing everything for him. He doesn't love to be
In
cared
his
for. He's like,
90s. Wow.
yes. He said, I don't want to be, oh, he's gone now, but he said, I don't want to be a burden on somebody. And I don't feel like I should be a burden. And I mean, I don't feel like somebody, that pride, that manly pride. I
Yes.
don't want
Yes.
anybody to bath me, take care of me, clean me. No, 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 no. He doesn't like it. So I understand the cultural dimension that you were talking about. And I think
Mhm.
one thing we also do, as you said, we associate it with death.
Yeah.
In our background from Africa and all that, we associate age. The moment you say you are growing, you say, very soon you go. Very soon you go. So people try to avoid that conversation a lot of the times, and that is good. But let's look at this. What happens if we avoid these conversations? What do you think happens when we avoid these conversations?
So first and foremost, when you avoid them, it means that it
Mm.
comes and you're not prepared, right?
Yeah,
You are not
yeah.
prepared. It is going to just catch you unawares because it's not something you've ever thought about. And when you are, oh, someone wants to know my name. Yes, I'm Mamesi Nete. And yes, I'm Ghanaian. Um, so it catches you unawares, right? Basically, when you have a parent, for example, that has aged or has gotten to a point where they are not able to do things for themselves, you now would have to figure out who's going to take care of them, right? If you have siblings, which of your siblings are doing this caregiving, or are you guys going to take your parent to a group home, right, and pay for the services? These are conversations that you have to have before it actually happens, because there are some costs, not some, there's a lot of costs related to this type of thing, whether you're taking care of the person in house, or outside. If it's going to be in your house, guess what, you have to think about, oh, if all your rooms are upstairs, for example, how is your parents going to be climbing the stairs, right? um it's you don't just walk into it. If you guys, none of you has a house that has bedrooms downstairs, right? In Ghana, I know a lot of our rooms are single, our houses are single story, so this may not be so much applicable there. But for people that are not outside, and you have the home designs where the rooms are upstairs, and now you have to bring in your parents who cannot climb the stairs. What do you do now, right? Like, so for instance, that thinking about the ways in which you guys as siblings can support your parents when they get ill, or just age, just decline, period, right? Sometimes they are not sick necessarily, but it's just aging. So by talking about it in advance, you guys are able to plan and figure out what you're going to do, right? It could just be a fall, and suddenly they broke their hip, which my dad has been through. Really, we've been through all of it. Think about it, we've been through it. But he had to have surgery, and so that could be the case, right? It's not, they may still be able to eat, drink, all of that, but at the same time, they're not able to move around. So how do you manage that? Because it has some financial impacts, you have to think about who's going to be funding all of this, right? Where's the money going to come from? Are you going to take a loan? Are you going to go into your savings? And so based on the answer that you have, then okay, if you're going to go into your savings now, when you're planning your savings, you have to be thinking about that too, right? Because you're saving for a house, you're saving for a vacation, you're saving for your children's college, you're saving for your project, your home, housing project that you're doing, whatever it is, right? You're saving. So now you have to think about, if you're thinking about this and preparing for this, you now add taking care of your aging parents, or even you yourself, right? And we're going to talk about as ourselves, as the things we can do as well. But let's focus on the parental piece of it. That's what the preparation does. It also allows us to have conversations with our aging parents. This is really important, to see how they would also want us to manage things for them, right? For example, are you going to want to be buried, or you're going to want to be cremated? Do you know what your parents will like, right? Where would they want to be buried? I know recently a family that was going through a burial, a funeral, and there was a lot of fight because they couldn't determine what colors, the whole red, black, what kind of colors the family wants to do with a funeral, and these are things that if the person was alive and you've talked to them already, and they've already planned everything out, they've shared with you what they want, it's very easy, right? This cremation thing I'm talking about, some people will say, oh, I want to be cremated. But guess what? If they never tell anyone, they never document it anywhere, and they pass, family members are going to say, no, what cremation? We had the cremation here, then, like, we are burying you, So, and then it starts creating a lot of tension and chaos. Then there are just so many funeral related things. I think we can talk many hours if we want to go there, but you all know there are so many things that brings a lot of friction among families when somebody dies, because they can't decide on what to do. And a lot of times, if the person had already put some of these things out there, this is what I want to do, this is what I want you guys to do when I'm gone, this is how I want you to handle it, this is, I don't want you to do a wake keeping, I want you to do, blah, 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 right? Then it puts it there for everybody. And then it guides everybody.
So I believe you have just given us what happens if we avoid these things, because there will be a lot of, I've seen families where there's a lot of chaos. I've seen families when their parents grow old, or they themselves grow old, there's a lot of confusion in terms of how investments are handled, monies are handled, even the whole, old age situation is handled, be it just the old age or just being deaf. A whole lot of things go on. And it's scary, because I don't know, nobody plans for that. Nobody knows the time you go. Until recently, when insurance companies start doing insurance policies for the aged back in Ghana and in other countries, none of us, we didn't know you could prepare for that, or it's a topic, or it's a conversation that has to be had. So that brings the question: when do you think we should start talking about this thing? Because our topic is basically about trying to deal with old age at a young age. So, what you have gone through, which we'll be talking about, when do you think we should start preparing for old age?
I'll take it into two parts. When we need to start talking with our folks would be one thing, right? So while they are still here with us and we start seeing signs, especially when we start seeing signs of decline, oh, my waist has really been hurting, my knees, my this, my that, decline in eyesight, all these things, right? You don't always have to just jump into it. What are we going to do when you die, right? It's more like, oh, because that's a lot, a lot, right? And obviously the person is just gonna like, whoa, 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 who's dying, right? But you want to have conversations like, oh, have you thought about how you would want, what type of ceremony would you want if this happens? And or maybe like things when events happen, so and so died, like, oh, you heard auntie blah 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 has died, right? You can say, I know, I heard that was so shocking, right? But then you use the opportunity to ask them too. So how do you feel about that? What made you think? What did you think of when you heard that kind of story? And I'm wondering, hey, how are their kids going to manage? I was thinking about how their kids are going to manage, and it made me think about how are we going to manage if something like that were to happen to you, right? So you're not going to say, you're not saying that's happened to them, but you're just saying if it were to happen to you, what we do, right? So finding avenues to talk to your own parents and your siblings, bringing these conversations in slowly. Okay, keyword slowly. Don't make anybody feel like they're about to die. We all know that, yes, we are all going to pass at some point, but there's no need to be harsh about it, right? Everybody's different. Some people can talk about death any day and they'll tell you, I am ready to go tomorrow if my time comes tomorrow, because they know that they've done whatever it is they need to do, or they're doing it on a daily basis, and so they're not waiting for anything. But there are also those people that don't want to hear it at all, so depending on the type of person you're dealing with, you have to find a way to either ease into it or broach the topic however you need to. But I always encourage people to leverage events that are happening around us, things that are happening. When you're talking about somebody else, it's always easier, right? Yeah. So you just talk about someone else. Oh, I heard blah blah blah, I heard blah blah blah, and then slowly find a way to draw it into your own circumstance. Now that's when we're talking about our parents. But for us, when do we start thinking about our own aging? That it's gonna come, and for me, what we've been through, my husband and I are like, we have to make sure that we are in a position where we've created the necessary means. My husband just joined us. Hi, babe. So he's, maybe one day I'll bring him on to also tell us a few things about, how the experience has been. But I was just saying, we have to be comfortable. Let's be comfortable about talking about it with our kids. Let's not shy away from it. What all the things that we talked about previously, this is us now going to tell our parents, bringing our parents into it and preparing, that's that direction. For our perspective, I feel like as parents, if you're a parent, what you can do would now be you initiate the conversations with your kids. My kids are a little too young for that, right? But if they were a bit older, in the 20s and the 30s, be the person to initiate it, because it's not a comfortable conversation to have, right? But it's going to happen. And hopefully from hearing today's talk, everybody's going to start being okay with it and engaging in conversations. Be the ones to talk about it and say, you guys, when I'm too old, to do anything, I don't want you to stress out about this. I don't want you, go put me in a home and, all I ask is visit me every 2 weeks or, whatever it is you want, right? But you be the person to take charge of the conversation and help, talk about it, to drive it. So that the burden is not on the kids to approach you with it, because it's a very sensitive thing, and you don't want your family, your parent to feel like you're trying to get rid of them or you're trying to have them, die or whatever, right? So you, as a person, one of the things that you can do, I would say, is, as now for us, we can start being the ones to initiate the conversations with our kids, or when the time is right, be the one to initiate it. Don't wait for them to to bring it up, right? That's one of the things you can
Yeah.
do. We can also look into the insurance thing that you were talking about.
Yeah, I will come there. I will come there. I just want to consider the whole idea first before we talk about what we can do or what are the things or the steps we can take.
Mhm.
And as you said, parents should be having these conversations with their children. And sometimes in the Akan proverb, they said, "Habamuno ete ena haban awozote." It literally meaning a dry leaf can fall, a green leaf can fall by some means.
Yes.
And sometimes the tables turn where after the conversation, as you said, and everything, the kid rather leaves the parents.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do we balance that? Is that do you think there is a way that can be balanced?
That one is a
I mean, you've not experienced that yet, but with the little you have experienced up to this point, do you think if the table flipped, do you have an idea how we can handle that?
Yeah, that one is definitely a big one, and I know every parent's desires to not outlive their kid, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing you burying your parents, but if a parent has to bury a kid, I cannot even begin to imagine the magnitude of that. But like we're saying, this aging thing has no formula, or this health issues, matters have no formula. Anybody can go at any time, and so by engaging in these conversations with our kids, it normalizes it, right? We want to normalize having these tough conversations, right? That's the whole idea, because when you normalize it, you keep communications open, you're able to talk about it, and everybody realizes that it can happen to them at any time. And when you live in that from that perspective where you know it can happen to you at any time, everything that you do, it prepares you for that, and you do the right things at the right times every single day, because tomorrow is not guaranteed, right? But as far as anything you can do to prepare yourself for a child dying, honestly, it's not. I feel like there are things you can do. You can
Yeah.
you can do the whole insurance thing, and that would help you from
Yeah.
it.
So maybe we can get into that now.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get into that now where we talk about what are some of the things we must do. What are
Yes.
some of the steps we must take? Must it be financial only? Must it be
Oh, no.
family? Must it be educational? Must it be health wise? What must we do? Because
A
you
lot.
are a health trainer,
A
you
lot.
are a fitness trainer, and you are a mother, you are a parent as well, and you are a child to a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with your experience, what are some of the things? What must we do? Talking about that as well, so that
Mm-hmm.
we can add that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I've already talked about pre-planning, the importance of proactive pre-planning. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. And, anybody that is interested, feel free to visit my page. I talk extensively about those type of things. So there's the importance of pre-planning. You can't go wrong with that. It's very necessary. We have some of the things like legal documentation. Okay. I know some people are very good at this. They've created their wills, but guess what? Nobody even knows that they even have a will.
Hmm.
Okay. So first you want to create your wills, you want to create your last wishes, right? Final wishes documents. There are a lot of services that help with getting these type of things ready. You want to make sure that you're getting professional help with that. And then once it's created, you want to make sure that your family knows about it. They know where you got the documents done, right? They know where it's kept. Because if something happens to you, God forbid something happens to you and you're gone, you don't want them now trying to figure out, did you do a will? Did you do final wishes? Did you do, so people do a good job sometimes getting these things done, but they don't communicate to anyone. And then when that happens and somebody shows, your child is like, oh, my dad did a will, or he did this. Now you have family members, disputing and saying, where did that will come from? We didn't know about any will, right? And so there's still chaos even after you've done the documents, right? So you want to do the documents, number one, yes, but you also want to make sure that important people within your family are aware that there's a document, and that is the document you want everybody to go by at the end of the day. right? So that there's no chaos even after you have a will, because that happens. People will start questioning the authenticity of it. They think it's been forged and that. But if you've already made it clear to everyone that, hey, I have a will, and when I'm gone, that is what I want everybody to use as their guide, whatever the case may be. So there's that. Then creating those documents, making sure that we are updating the documents as well, right? Don't create it and then many years later you just forget about it, and things change over time. And sometimes you have a will, but you've decided to do something else. But if you don't go back and update your will, it's what you have that is going to be binding the actions, right? So you have to remember that you're updating your will. You have to make sure you have backups. I tell you this because my dad had told us that he would like to be cremated, and when he passes, and we've had to try to figure out where's this cremation document. So we know it's there, right? He said he did it, forgetting the name of the place, but he said he did it, right? But did I ever see it? No. Maybe my mom saw it, but I was asking her the other day, I said, you know where Dad's document is? And she said, it's in the drawer. It should be in the drawer. But guess what? Termites have got into it, right? We had a termite infestation in our home, and they've chewed it all up. Fortunately, we can go to the place where it was done, so we can get a backup copy. But imagine it was flood or fire or whatever, right? If we have actual copies, we need to make sure that we are backing them. Make an electronic version of it if there already isn't one. Go and scan it and make sure that it's in safekeeping, so that at least you can always get it if need be. You don't want a situation where you've actually taken time to create a document, which is a good thing, and then now the document can be found. Or you don't want the last thing you want to be doing is chasing around documents, right? Because if you're in a place where the system doesn't work too well, you all know how that might be a challenge, right? Trying to get something that should be very easy to get a copy of, but you can't, and you have to go and come back multiple times. You know what I'm saying? So that's some of the things that we can do. Getting ourselves a network of supporters. So for the people that are already on this journey, I know some of our listeners may already be in the situation where
okay, just before you go on to the network, the legal documentation part, apart from the immediate family or the children, who do you think must be part of this document or must know of this documentation?
I think it's family dependent. So for instance, if you have an ebusiapeni in your family that you guys really, you go to for everything, that's your go-to person, then I think such a person they might not necessarily need to be part of the document creation, but they need to be aware that there's a document there. Because they don't need the details of what's in the document. Nobody needs that part, right? You only share, as a person writing your will, you share with whomever you want to share. You're not obligated to share. But I feel like the opinions and the aunties and the uncles and, the people that we all know, those people that tend to be very controversial in our families, right? The people that have a big say or, can cause a lot of friction. Every family has people like that. And those people, especially, we want to make sure that they know. We have people that everybody in a family kind of respects, and when there's a problem, they'll go to, let's go talk to this elderly person. So such a person, you want to make sure. So anybody that's influential, it might be positively influential, negatively influential, whichever way, but anybody that is influential in your family, you know how to identify those people, right? Make sure that they are aware that there's a document. They don't need to know the details of it, but just being aware that there's something like that. Yeah.
That's good. So those of you who are confused about who must know about this document, because I know a lot of people go to a greater extent to protect these documents because of the legalities and all the confusion that we have seen both in movies and in realities. So people don't like, telling anybody about this. People tell only their lawyers, and their lawyers go ahead and create something else, edit it, do a whole lot of things. And we've seen all these things. And I think based on these things, that is why Ghana enacted the interstate law to protect people who go or who leave this world without any legal documentation. So it's a good point we are raising. So those of you who are joining us now, if you are now joining us, we are talking about aging. How do we deal with old age whilst we are still young? Because people have grown old and they don't have a jack about what to do. It for some people, it just sprang on them as a surprise. They are like, I was here yesterday and I'm here today. Yes, the years move like a bullet. They move very fast
Yeah.
nowadays. So you want to get prepared as a young man, as a young woman out there, as no matter the job you are doing, you want to get prepared. That is why we are having these conversations. And if you want to have more of these conversations, you need to follow our sister Unscripted, Aging Unscripted on all social medias. Go follow her. She will walk you through. She does a lot of conversation, and she's a fitness instructor as well. So if you want to, talk about the health aspect, which we'll be talking about, definitely we'll talk about that one. So my sister, you can continue. You want to add another point apart from the legal documentation, which I've written down, very solid point. And I have to consider doing my will, even though I have only a laptop to my name.
Anytime we talk about wills, we all think about properties, but it's not just properties. It's also how you want to be handled when you can't make a decision for yourself.
Good.
If you find yourself on life support, how many days do you want your family to hold on? For several weeks, several months, or you're going to tell them, look, when I get to that point, you guys have my blessings to let me go. Because sometimes you don't know. As when imagine that your parents is on a life support, and we had to go through that too, guys. We had to make that we found ourselves when my mother-in-law was in a coma, and you're hoping the person comes back, and you're praying the person comes back. How long are you going to wait on that? Every day the person is in the hospital, you are incurring bills and all of those things, right? So at what point do you say, okay, you know what, we should let her go or let him go? When you've not talked about these kind of things, it becomes hard. But guess what? If your parent has already told you that, look, beyond 3 days, let me go, or beyond 1 week, let me go, it's easier for you to make that decision. So wills is not just properties. So it doesn't matter what we have, even if we don't have any property, just your own, wills in the broader sense, right? But like I said, it all final wishes all come under the same topic. When we talk about wills, I'm mentioning it because we all tend to think about property, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Laptop, right? But
because I only have a laptop. I don't have anything. So what am I going to put in that will? So there were days I think about aging, and the old age scares me, as we all said from the beginning. It scares us. It stares you in the face, and you're like, what is there? How do I want to be handled? How am I going to be handled? Am I going to be handled against my wishes? Am I going to be handled based on somebody's theory? And I think about will, putting a legal document. I said, what am I going to put on it? I only have a laptop in the car. What else? What am I going to put? The stocks, how much is there? These thoughts come to you. So that is why I wanted clarity on that as well.
Yes, so please, one thing before I forget, you also want to put in place, like if you have younger kids, right? You want to say who's going to take care of them. For instance, you're going to say, I want them to go to my sister, right? Or my brother. You don't want them to end up just anywhere. Okay. So if you know that, hey, if something should happen to me today, I would want person, so and so to be the guardians of my kids, the legal guardians, right? So you want to put all those things in place. So you see, it's not just properties. So
I know.
There's so many things that we all tend to think about properties, but guys, it's not just properties. There are a lot of things. When you actually start engaging in this process, or finding out information, you're going to see so many things that if the person can guide you. And if you need assistance, I'm not a will writer or anything. I'm not an expert, but definitely if you need some guidance, I'm happy to point you in the right directions and share some information with you. And then you can go get it written, professionally. But those people know the type of questions to ask you and everything. And based on your answers, they would help you to write your will.
One of the things I've learned today from what you have said is to put it is about how you want to be handled, how you want your old age to be.
Yeah.
So it means you can have a separate document for that. You can even have a separate document for your properties as you acquire more
Yeah.
of that.
Yes.
And this is a good education. Those of you who are scared of aging, those of you who think you will not age, I mean, today it is off the table. You will age. You
Sorry
will
to
grow
break
old.
the news.
Yes, sorry to break the news. This is breaking news. You will grow old. And how you want your old age to be is what we are trying to discuss. Because our young people, I mean, nobody have this discussion. I had a pastor who always tell me that, look, the church needs to talk about these things, and the church needs to talk about death. This is one topic that a lot of pastors don't preach about. I mean, they make it look like it's scary. It is not. I mean, the fear of it, even mentioning it, then the people will say, Tofia, Tofia. No, it is. But if you come to
It's
the
not my
other part of
portion.
this world, yes, if you come to this part of the world, I've seen age. I mean, they tell you, look, there are some people you meet, they're like, you know what? I think I'll go tomorrow. You guys should gather around and sing for me. I'm like, huh? And they talk about it freely with
Yes.
gladness and all that. But we, our part of the world, we've not had these discussions. So people are not aware. So you mentioned the legal documentation. And I think you were going to mention the second document before I stopped and I asked the follow-up. So I don't know if you have any other thing that we must do in getting prepared for old age, apart from the legal documentation.
Yeah. Education and awareness. Right.
Good.
So we're like what we are doing today. We're educating ourselves.
Mm.
We're educating
Yeah.
each other, learning that, this is gonna come. Part of the education is when you're um for instance, you have some health conditions within your family, right?
Mhm.
Diabetes, whatever, hypertension, this, that. You want to educate yourself. Don't pretend it's not there. Don't ignore it. Educate yourself. What is this health condition? What is this disease? What are some of the things that I need to look out for? So that when you start experiencing them, you are very quick to identify what it is and then get yourself checked out. If you don't know what some of the things, what some of the symptoms are, it becomes really difficult. Maybe you're getting multiple headaches, back to back headaches, and you just kind of maybe it's because I'm tired, it's because I'm stressed, it's because we just tell ourselves all kinds of things, right? But if you know what conditions that people within your family have had to deal with, because a lot of times some of it is genetic, right? And so you want to make sure that you've educated yourself so that in the event of things happening, you are always like, oh, this sounds like what I read. This sounds like what so and so told me. Let me go get it checked out, right? So speaking of checkup, you want to do your regular checkups. You want to do your regular checkups. A lot of us are very good at that, but we also want to ensure that our parents, while we're at it, we want to make sure that parents are also on top of it, because once they grow and mobility becomes an issue, some of these things just fall down the wayside, right? It's like, oh, like they know, but they don't really go because it's just hard to move around, for example, right? So as individuals or as children of parents, that's another thing that we can do. We are taking care of ourselves, going for our regular checkups. Yes, that's good. But we also want to make sure that our parents are also getting checked out. These days, there are services that come to your home. So if your parents cannot go to get themselves checked out, if you're able, you can pay for someone to come over and do their regular checkups for them as well.
Wow. Wow. I think that is a good one because getting educated and getting checked regularly, it's something a lot of us don't do. After the education, as we are doing it, this is one of the things we are doing. And I know from time as people follow your page, they will get, because I'm following your page and I want to learn a lot because this is a topic, as I said, a lot of us didn't have any idea. We don't have, my father died not having any will. And that is how his father died. That is how, so we grew
Yes.
up in that family like that.
Yeah.
He never, I mean, he wasn't the go to the hospital type. Go check my my system. If he's sick, they pass the bag, they drink some herbal medicines, and they are fine.
Yes.
So we never grew up understanding these things.
Mhm.
But as you are here, from time to time, your dentist will call you, your eye doctor will call you, your GP will call you, hey, you need to come for a checkup. You need to do
Mhm.
your blood work,
Mhm.
see what is happening in your system, you know?
Yeah.
So I believe it is a good thing. Health check is very important, guys, both for our parents and for
For us.
ourselves.
Mhm.
It is very, very important. I
Yeah.
mean, yesterday I had a very bad news of a friend, very young guy who just was gone like that
Wow.
due to basic sickness, you know, and
Mhm.
you don't understand how these things happen. He wasn't prepared. Nobody was prepared,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it is coming. It is around us every day.
Yeah.
Friends, families are going, and we need to start having these conversations. So those of you here, go follow my sister, listen to her. She will share her experiences, she will share her challenges. I mean, you see her, she's a person of everything. She's a mother, she's a wife to a husband, and you know what it means to be a wife to an African husband. She, I mean, she's a worker, she's a career woman into IT at the same time into health. Man, she's all over the place, but yet she has to deal with old age when it comes to the parents. You know, it's not an easy thing. It's not an
Oh,
easy thing. Sis, you are doing great, and thank you. God will bless you for all that you are doing.
thank you.
And
Thank
at this
you.
point, if you pardon me, I want to somebody requested to join to also add his voice. It's
Yes,
one person
please.
most of us knew already, Councillor Lutron. She's been an advocate all over the place, and we'll have a time with him another day. But he wants to just add a little bit to the
Please bring
conversation
him.
we are.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
so I will add him very soon. And hold on. Oh,
While we
okay.
are
I
waiting,
think
while we are waiting
yes.
for.
I think his connection is not really stable yet. So you
Okay.
can go ahead, please.
I see Benedicta says we must put aside some funds for our old age. Yes, absolutely, Benedicta.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
When you have your family, your kids that are now starting out to build their lives, you don't want to burden them with your health related costs, right? So if you've
Mhm,
already put
mhm.
some money aside, they can tap into that and say that, hey, mom or dad already saved up some money for this, and we have that money. We don't have to worry about it, right? Because healthcare can be
Yeah,
very, very expensive. So yes, absolutely, you're right, Benedicta.
yeah. And we have another comment. We say sometimes when you disclose your will, the beneficiaries will always wish you dead.
So Tag, that's why I was saying that you are not obligated to disclose the contents of the will. Okay, you are not obligated. The idea is just letting people know that there's a will. Okay, and that's it. That's all they need to know. You only tell whomever you want to tell. I don't know the contents of my dad's will. I don't, and I don't need to
Mm,
know it. I'm just
mm,
happy to know that there's a will, and
yeah.
that saves me the headache when he's gone and people are fighting over things. We can just pull out their will and say, okay, this is what the owner wanted us to do, and that's what
Mhm,
we go by, right?
mhm,
But
mhm.
like I said, I know sometimes there's still fights, but if you don't have anything at all, then bobo, you're in deep waters pretty much.
Tak, I beg, don't get it twisted. You need to establish it and don't tell anybody. Tell only your lawyer. And Benedicta also says, Mr. O, will decide for you. You get to decide when you have cash. Oh, Kweku broke man can say, I don't want to go to the ABC place when I grow old. Uh, Is that true? Is that true, Sister AC? Is it true that they get to decide for you if you don't have money? Because you have experienced it.
um
Did you decide for your dad? Did you decide that this is what you want to do for her, for him? Sorry.
yeah, I mean, we made some decisions because right now he's not in a state where he's able to to communicate a whole lot. So my siblings and my mom, we just, we talked and made some decisions on his behalf, but it's based off of what we know, what he would be like to do as a person, right? What the type of person that he is. And so we've had to make some decisions on his behalf. But that's where exactly what we are saying, Benedicta, that if you have something in place, then whether you're, regardless of your financial status or your mental status or whatever, everybody can just go grab that document and go buy it, right? If there's no money and your sibling, your children or whomever has to come up with money, then they can only do whatever is within their means, right? So if you know that there's a particular way you want to be taken care of, you want to be in this particular group home or whatever, just you have to make sure now that you're putting the structures in place, the finances, the documents, etc., whatever is needed to make it happen. You have to make sure that you are putting that in place so that it can happen, right? It's your responsibility. Otherwise, what happens is when there's nothing, the people caring for you or the people making the decisions would only be able to do whatever is within their means and their convenience as well, right? So hopefully that answers you.
Yes, I think that answers Benedicta's question as to who decides. I believe that is why we are saying get prepared, have that legal document. Benedicta, you should start drafting yours. I'm telling you for the fact that if, so, for instance, if I should be indisposed today, please make sure I don't go to a care home, or make sure I go to this Sister AC's care home, or make sure I go to Mr. O. care home.
Yeah.
You get to decide. And I think people must respect your wishes and must respect your decision as an adult at that moment. So we've looked at legal preparation, educational, financial, as we just talked about, because can you throw more light on the financial aspect? How do we prepare financially? Because I think that's the biggest one.
Saving. We save to go on vacations. We save to buy houses. We save to buy car, right? We do a lot of saving, right? You always have a goal in your saving. So let's adding our aging, related things to the saving process. We want to make sure that we are saving. If you get insurance, I'm happy to bring someone that does insurance, life insurance, funeral insurance, right? Because recently I found out that some part of, just because you have life insurance doesn't mean your funeral costs will be covered, right? There are different types of life insurance. So don't just assume that you have life insurance, so automatically that covers your funeral costs. Not necessarily the case, right? So I'm happy to bring an expert to talk to us about that. But that's one of the things. Having insurance allows your family members to not have to deal so much with, the financial impacts of your incapacitation, or when something happens to you. I think those will probably be the two main ones, and the saving part of it doesn't have to be you. If you have siblings, all of you contribute small. We all know, if you're waiting for something to happen and you suddenly have to come up with $5,000, it might be hard. But if over the years, people are contributing $50 every month or $20 every month, you'll be amazed at how it just, adds up over the years. And then when the time comes, when you actually need it, you have some funds that you can dive into. Otherwise you will be struggling, to come up with money when it's, and a lot of times, sometimes depend on where you find yourself, it's cash, you have to pay the cash before they'll take care of your parents, right? And what do you do, right? If you have funds already saved, you can just go into it and get it. So start early, guys. Start early, start the planning early, start the saving early. I know things are really hard these days, but you just start. When you start early, you have to do it. You can do it small, and it just builds up. Otherwise,
So I think, yes. Sorry, I think the saving part becomes a lot harder if it is you alone. But if it is the family, unless you are the only child of your
Yeah.
parents,
Yeah.
unless you are the only child of the parents. But if you are not the only child, it becomes a lot easier where you do the savings together. And I think the insurance part also helps when you are
Yeah.
the only child. Assuming you are the only child, you can get into insurance. As you said, they have different types of the insurance. So people must educate themselves to understand it before they start. So, guys,
Mhm.
at this point, I'll add another
Hey, what's
resource
up?
person.
That's the gig, big man. I'm gonna roll her upstairs with the lady right now.
Hello,
So
Councillor.
go kidnap the little girl
Hello, how are
and take
you?
her custody.
We are fine, thank you.
She
Please,
just
there
called
is
me.
a
Hi.
radio
Nice,
at the
some French
background.
Euro
Yeah.
Yeah, it's off.
Okay, all
Sorry.
right.
Yeah, how are you?
Thank you so much. You are welcome.
Yeah, thank you too for having me. I've been following the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you for your input.
Thank
Um, I just wanted to ask you, this lecture you are giving, is it lecture for those who are living in the diaspora, like those living abroad, or you're adding Ghanaians to the lecture you're giving? Because
it's
most of the
both.
things you say
Mhm.
cannot be applicable for us in Ghana.
For example,
Uh, for example, in Ghana, we don't talk about death. We believe
but
that when you celebrate your birthday, if you are after retirement from work, when you come and celebrate your birthday, you won't keep long and you die.
but
So there are
Councillor
people
Richard,
that they are,
that is exactly why I'm here today, right? I know we don't talk about it, but that is exactly why we are having this session and raising
no, I'm
awareness.
saying this because the work I do, I take care of dead bodies. And I'm saying that unfortunately for us, people believe their life is short. But from where I sit as a pathologist, I don't believe their life is short. The longest thing on earth is life. It's death that is short. So for me, your conversation goes down well. The packages you are giving, you left one important package, like consulting the deaf and grief therapist. Because most of the times when we lose loved ones, you don't want to consult us, the deaf and grief therapist, so that we come in. You believe that people can console you better than us, but every loss must be grieved.
Yeah.
You
No, so
understand? Yes. So
yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And I have one of those as a bullet point here. Utilize available resources and experts. Okay.
that's right.
Um,
That's right.
we know there are people that are experts in their field. And when you're
Yes.
experiencing these type of things, trust me, I had to go through it.
So you went for deaf and grief therapy.
It was none basically it's through my work, right? They offer services, legal services, so they are
Okay.
not the ones that actually give the service, but they pay for us to, if you're having any issues, life issues, they provide these services to allow
Okay.
you to be taken care of, right? So basically there was a
Okay.
person that was assigned, and I would talk to her
Okay.
and I would tell her everything that I was feeling and going through, because you know why
Okay.
that's important, guys? Because you
Tell
need that
them.
support. The person that is going through this needs the support, right? You need to be able
Hmm.
to be taken care of so that you can take care of
Hmm.
your parents and your kids and your husband and your siblings and everything, right? If you are crumbling and there's no support for you, what do, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
times you're not able to express some of these things because it's a sensitive matter. Like, imagine that you're so tired, you are like on the verge of breakdown. You don't want you try not to let your family see that, right? Your sibling, because it's going to make them sad, like, oh my god, look what we are doing to to her. Look how much she's suffering because of us, right? I know that was one of the things that my mom used to feel very bad about, like that. Oh, Oblayo feel, those of you that speak Ghana, right? Oblayo feel, look what we're going, putting her through. Literally, like, meaning this young lady, and she it was giving her bad feelings. So you're not able to talk so much about things. Whereas, if you have an external party that you can share with them and be very open about what you're going through, because it's very difficult. It's really, really difficult. So that's where the experts come in, the therapists, right? If somebody has already passed, you need a grief counselor, because the person knows how to walk you through the various stages of the grief and get you on the safer side of it all. Otherwise, you get really stuck in it and you're not able to move forward. You become depressed, you become, all sorts of things. So absolutely, Councillor Luchot, this is a very important area as well. Utilizing the resources that we have, along the same lines also, going online, doing research. I started a support group as well on Facebook. So if you're someone that is in the throes of caregiving, you're taking care of your parents right now, come and join. Let's talk about it. I may have learned a thing or two that I can share. And there are so many people. When you're actually talking the same language, you guys know the things you're dealing with, you can share and support each other. You can learn. There are so many resources out there, guys. So let's not be in a box, utilize everything that we have, and hopefully we can make our journey a little bit easier. Thank you so much, Council.
Okay, so the other part is that usually we come to a point where we believe that the services of we, the professionals, are needed when there's some level of bereavement. But unfortunately, where the act begins is when there is a clinical condition that has been announced to the family. In your presentation, you said that there are times that you can see the person on a life support and a decision must be made so as to settle the scores. Good. That decision usually goes through counseling, and the clinicians will only, because death is only declared by a clinician. Nobody can declare anybody dead. And by the laws of all the laws we have in the world, you only get the death certificate and a burial permit because an autopsy has been done on you and the cause of death has really been stated. That is why even when you are knocked down by a car, it's difficult for somebody to declare you dead and give you reasons why you die. But you can be involved in an accident, but the cause of death will not be the accident. So it's very important for us to know that when the condition of the individual is announced, counseling must begin. But usually, we build a strong face. For example, if your mom is sick and you are told that whatever she's going through is hereditary, it puts a toll on you who is surviving. Type 2 diabetes. So once your mother dies or your family member or your dad, anybody goes through diabetes and they go up, then they tell you, then the rest of you who are behind must know that this one, everybody can get it. And that statement puts some level of fear in the rest of you who are taking care. But nobody thinks that it's important to come and see as the professionals. And it's unfortunate. There are times that some pastors will take our work to do. Some doctors will take our work and they do. So the value of the professional is really not seen. And because the value is not seen, people don't even want to engage you at all. Because what at all are you going to tell me that nobody else can tell me?
Yeah.
So we should also know that when the sickness is announced or the illness is announced, you need to see a counselor first. That's very, very important. Now, after studying how to prepare a testament, I realized that in preparation of even testaments, people need to consult a counselor first. But we ignore. You see, we have really not seen the value of the emotional therapist. Why? Because we believe that every family member stands in like an emotional therapist. But when family members are advising, I don't know how to advise anybody. I've never advised anybody before. All I do is to help you make an informed decision. So the counseling business is not advice. So your pastor can advise you, your friends can advise you, But I will take you through a process where you will make your own informed decisions. So a doctor calls a daughter whose mother is going through a terminal illness, and they tell her everything that the mother is going through, and they think they've done a good work. Unfortunately, because they finished and made it clear to her that it's not acquired, but it's from blood lineage or bloodline, before she leaves the doctor's office, she begins to diagnose herself. And this is why I tell people that when they encourage you, there are more materials on the internet. You to go and read. I have got so many patients who walk to my office after going to read on the net and realize that most of the things they read were half truths.
Yeah.
I don't know if you understand me, see.
Yeah.
So I've also realized that the internet does more harm than good. Because none of us will put full materials on the internet. If we put a material there, what's the essence of us? If you go and read the 5 stages of grieving on the internet, you can read it. But how to deal with denial, how to deal with bargaining, how to deal with depression, how to deal with acceptance from the professional point of view, you don't know.
Yeah.
So people go to the internet and go and read, and when they sit in front of you, they believe they are the second counselor in the making. The other funny part is that majority of the pressure groups or support groups, as they put it, usually springs up as a result of what the leader of the support groups might have gone through. Not all, but majority of the people. So they want to share their experiences with you. I am not against it. But the question is, the experience you are sharing, does it have any professional base, or is as a result of what you suffered? So your mother died, for example, out of diabetes. What type of diabetes killed her? What didn't she do right? Was it hypoglycemia? Didn't she want sugar at all around her? So we are building support systems, but unfortunately, they are not support systems. They become destructive systems, and they become fear and panic for individuals. So I am too much of the view that, like he said, when we're talking about how to plan your burial, he said, no, I have somebody who does funeral policy. So she's having the referral mentality. She's not assumed that I have formed a group and I want to teach everything that I don't know. She wants to bring somebody on board. Do you understand? Look, Mr. O, let me tell you one funny thing. So I ran office orientation for clients. And there's a patient that, at a point in time in Ghana, I started having some serious clients who were coming from offices, big companies. And the problem was they were getting depressed. So I had to investigate what was causing the depression. It was workstation. I don't know if you know what workstation is. You know what they call a workstation? Okay.
No.
So the workstation is the type of office desk that is used to save space.
Oh.
So when they have 4 tables,
yeah,
they will just give you a 4-in-1 table that you can all share.
Okay.
Face me and let me face you.
Yeah.
So it's called a workstation. Now, based as a temperament therapist, it's not everybody who can sit in front of somebody to work. But it became a common thing. Now people are facing challenges and their productivity was reducing. So when I started office orientation, I made it clear to them that these things, before you introduce a workstation to one AC who was having their own office, make sure that we take the whole group of people into that counseling thing. Table be a table. How many hours now, baby? But calculate the number of hours we spend in the office as compared to the one we spend in our homes. We have really lost the importance of trying to allow people to manage their psyche. And so the human resource department is used to querying you, preparing your leave, and giving you schedules and trying to make the time for them. But your psychological state is not very much needed. Like you said, when such things happens to you, the company you are in gives reference, they refer you to people who can manage you for what you have gone through. So I want to fully recommend that those who have formed groups like that should learn to once a while bring professionals on their platform to come at least treat one, for example, bargaining with a loss. And we should not even wait for just death as a loss. Somebody just lost their mobile phone and they need to go for grieving over such a loss. Thank God you are alive. Me, the first time they snatched my mobile phone, the police officer told me, Master, you're proud. I said, Debbie, now we are proud at the police station. Because then I was sorry, say I'm proud. You get it? Somebody have an accident.
So, Councillor, I wanted to ask, per what you have said so far, it seems the therapist, I think the therapist has to even come from the beginning. So at what point do you think we need to consult therapists about aging? Because the aging
before you get pregnant,
before the death will come.
Before you get pregnant.
Wow.
I mean, she's a mother, she's a wife, she's a gym instructor. You give me all the profile. People believe that they've gone through pre-marriage counseling, which most of them are lies. It's a dogma in the church. Because when you do counseling in the church, it's not called premarital counseling. It's an arranged policy for the church so that you can follow the doctrines of the church. Because premarital counseling is not when you have a guy who wants to marry you. It's when you have taken the decision, I want to marry, whether it's a guy or not, because you think that you got into the age. So in that time, we are taught death, we are taught grieving, you are taught divorce, you are taught planning, you are taught family planning. So once you enter into the marriage, you go through the post-marital counseling. And post-marital counseling is where you plan when to get pregnant and what it takes to be pregnant. Because people are in marriages and they plan to have a child first 2 years of their marriage. And unfortunately for them, the first 2 years, they are knocking and nothing is happening. I tell you, it leaves a death toll on them.
Yeah.
That can't say tears you.
Okay.
So such people, they do everything to even destroy their system before they have their first child.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
some. What about those who are not married? They are like just a single child. Let's say you are the male child. You are not married, or you don't have any chance. So you are not going to get that opportunity to be encountering with therapists about aging. And at what age do you think that conversation?
So that's why I said from the beginning that immediately you get pregnant, counseling starts with you. So everybody needs to have a therapist, because even when you are single and you are not married, we are not meant for the married. We are meant for human beings. So there are things about you that you need to unravel. Even the family system you are in. As you are growing, you're planning, you need to consult a counselor. So then aging comes into the scene. Do you understand? So everybody needs it. I have a couple whose parents are married for 42 years. And it's the reason why their marriage is not working. It doesn't sound correct. He's in marriage. Their marriage is having challenges. And the challenges in their marriage is because the mother and father are married for about 40 years. And that's a serious thing. Because if mommy and daddy are married for 40 years, if you are going through challenge after the first 5 years of your marriage, you are free to go and tell them, say, go at papa 40 years. Now 5 years now, so the longer your parents marry, psychologically, it leaves a negative toll on your marriage as well. Same way, the shorter your parents married, psychologically, it leaves a negative toll on you. So you see, the total life of us is like someone. Blessed is the man who doesn't stand, all right? But seek for counseling, because in a multitude of counselors, there is safety. We have lost it. So if you ask me, every stage of your life, you need to know what counseling is. And counseling is not advice.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
Let me give you an example of a client he's not sick. He works. He's a pharmacist. He does 2 different jobs apart from the mainstream. And he earns close to 7,000. After everything is taken, I'm not talking about dollars, please. You the foreigners, I'm talking about cities. After everything is taken, he takes home about 5,500. Now he has a medication because mommy is diabetic, daddy is, and they are on some particular drugs and they are managing themselves. So, and every month he supports the family, the mother and father, with 3,800 Ghana cedis out of the 5,200. And they are putting pressure on him to marry. He says until the parents die, he can't marry. You see this one's own because
Wow.
he's not sick, but he's spending all his earnings in living for the parents to be alive every month. And if he makes a mistake, 1 month he doesn't go and buy for them. They talk about him as if he's the evil one. And I'm not sure. So you see such a person. So when you're talking about planning the aging, at times it's not just about the devil. It's about the sicknesses they bring home after some level of their life. And they've not been able to manage themselves. Not that they are lazy. That is why if you watch my show the last time, I said, don't spend all your money on your children. Split it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watch it. People don't understand me. Live in the house that you think is nice. Take care of yourself. And you can run your children's education on loans. It's better. Because if you use everything to take care of them, and I'm not into my show, and I won't man to assassin, and I won't na me wife, man go school. And every time you are making me your reason why you never survive, I don't respect you. No child respects a parent when you grow to find them still living in Atakwame Dine. And I won't in the end to them, yet it got them, baby, wouldn't see in a block. These are the issues that will, but the child is going through a lot. Because you are spending more than their grave. So such people, if you sit down with them and have a nice discussion like AC is saying, they'll think you are pushing them to their grave. Do you understand? Somebody tells me, me who are my mom and child free. You will am go see me. They give you order. When I die, make sure you bury me in less than 4 weeks. But they have not made a budget to bury them in 4 weeks.
Yeah, I know, right?
They don't plan financially.
They've not even thought of it.
Yeah, that's why I was saying.
A young guy who came to America, his things were working, or he was living with the mother. Things were trying to knock down for him. Cobra, Charlie, or any movement. Mamuti, I say, hi, Quine. Yes, Mamma, it was enforced you on side the chin was sick. Oh, Mamma, we can ask him. Then he called me. Blah, blah, say, Massa. One is a movement tired. Who 2 nights you could even now? You have been 10 years. If you now call your chariot, I call anything. Scanner went young so. And those slide you have been so. Let the dead bury their dead. 1,000 I mean, they are 4,000 the corner for come out.
Yeah.
So look at such a person. Obey a breakthrough, and some took the decision. I love him. I can't be here for them to bury my mother. As if they are going to bury them in their stomach. And they go back and they can't come again. So I like the discussion. Aging unscripted, but I am looking at us expanding the discussion from just the aging. And like the question that you put to earlier, there are times that you are planning with your parents how you're going to bury them in future. Then look at them burying you.
Yeah.
They are just burying. You are planning for them, and they have not planned for you because they know their plans are in your hands. Then all of a sudden, you the one carrying their plans, you are going.
Yeah.
And there are some that they are with you, they are not dead, but their current state is better than death. Like the guy I'm talking about. If you are spending close to 4,200 every month on your mother and father, excluding feeding and utility payment, they didn't build a house. So at your age, you are still paying rent for them. And when you go and talk about it, won't see that. They say near show up school. As if you say so school, one go years you are seeing now bed. So let me use your platform and tell every mother, every father, every parent, don't use your all to take care of your children. You can be angry, but take it.
Thank you.
Save. Save.
Thank you.
Save. And don't be looking at buying properties in the bush. I tell all of you in the state, stop buying property in the bush. Focus on buying property in the city.
Yeah.
You live in America for 25 years and you come to Ghana and go and buy a land in Kaswa. And the next few minutes we hear that you have been shot dead. It's better for you to live in Sukura, all right? Sukura, in the slum, than go to Kaswa where you can't have a peace of mind. Let's think that I am a realist.
Yeah.
And I'm a positive thinker. And I provoke you to think beyond it. When funeral policy started, people don't want to talk about funeral policy. Because say, I mean, your place in the country you find yourself is sweet. Our place where we are in Ghana here, my brother, Charlie, forget it. Only few insurance companies will help you.
Yeah.
There are times you have to finish the funeral before they give you the money. And I ask you that, I need the money to bury my mother. And you say the only way to get the money is after you've done the burial and everything. You bring pictures and then you come and collect one. Are you serious in life? Then I'm going to go see. So go for money somewhere, and come and do these things. The best way, like she said, have a discussion with them. But it's scary. This discussion, that's why at a point in time I say, ask who can be involved.
Yeah.
If you want to discuss aging and planning burial, involve a counselor. Involve a professional. Because you can go and touch on that area, and there'll be mood swings. You can touch on that area, and your mother can tell you the next day, if you die a cancer, that you will send me come a nah, because I've been what we billionaires and in the king, it means it was not part of my thinking until you brought it up here.
Yeah.
And they will call your sister and tell your sister, then they ask you, what discussion did you have with your mother? Oh, yeah, no way. Okay, what's the low? They should bury cremation or burial, also cemetery or whatever, Then the family will say, no, these things are not discussed. Then they hold you responsible. And they can keep that statement when the old lady dies. During the funeral grounds, when you feel this AC girl who has gone to learn something, pat the old lady down. You see where I'm coming from. So you also who want to discuss this thing, involve a counselor. And it's not nice to bring the counselor to your house. Once he's aging, most of them, when they come to us, we ask them, what is your plan? And because we are not their family members and we are discussing on professional grounds, they tell us straight, me, I don't have any plan. Anyway, I died, they should bury me.
Yeah.
Look at a person who is in America here. The family is eating in Potoi. They don't have what to eat. You die, and all they say, our son doesn't live in a foreign soil. So the only way we can do is bring us the dead body. Oh, you don't know what you are eating your family have. I'm here when I die. You are demanding my dead body. Over 6,000 in a cargo plane. So you see, death is something. And we need an extensive discussion on it.
Oh yeah. That was what I was going to say. We need a full time to discuss. And I wanted to ask Stacey, at what point did you seek the therapist, the help of the therapist? When your father fell down, or after you have gone to the hospital, at what point did you include or did you seek counseling or go for a therapist?
It was after all of it had happened. So father was back and forth in the hospital. Mother-in-law had passed. Mom had received head cancer diagnosis. At that point, I felt like, oh my goodness, I can't deal. Right? I can't deal. I felt like I was literally falling apart. you know. And when you are in the person that is in all the roles that I'm in, a mother, a wife, a manager, you know, at work, you have all these responsibilities, and you're supposed to be keeping yourself together to perform all these roles, right? And it was at that point that I felt like, okay, I need some help. I need someone to talk to, someone to, you know, provide some guidance. But, you know, honestly, whatever was shared with me was not something that was like, oh my God, I didn't know this, right? But having that space, you know, that expert to listen to you and ask you the right questions to get you to express yourself and release yourself. And you know, there were times when, you know, if I was thinking about a way to handle something, I can run it by her and ask her, you know, her viewpoint and things like that, right? So it was very, very beneficial. So absolutely, you know, Councillor Lucha, what you were saying about getting expert advice is really, 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 really important. Now, a lot of it comes with costs, right? Let's not be naive about that. So I think that's part of the reason why people don't do it too early. You know, so there's the part of about some people don't even know that option is there. Okay. So that's where the awareness and education comes in, letting people know, hey, there are services like this. There's counseling for grief. There's counseling for, you know, hard parental aging. There's counseling for this, right? So making that awareness out there, putting it out there. Then there's the part where people can afford it. So some people know it's there, but they can't afford it. It's not free. There might be places where you might get some free services, right? But it's not necessarily everywhere. Or you may have few sessions that will be free, but subsequent sessions you have to pay, all of those things, right? So yes, absolutely, it's important, and you want to start as soon as you can. The earlier you engage an expert in these things, the sooner you can get the help and the better guidance you can receive. Because sometimes, depending on where you engage them, it might be too late, right? So for me, I engaged them at a point where I felt like I was everything was just over my head. I was extremely overwhelmed, and I needed that support, right? So that's what I did. But absolutely, there's nothing like starting. It's never too early to get support, right? Support, it can never be too early. So long as you can afford it, if you know, your finances allow you to, absolutely. But, you know, if not, just be mindful of it, be aware the services are there, know where to find them when you need them, and then engage with them as soon as you are able to.
I think it makes a lot of sense because all these things that we are talking about, it's in our part of the world. A lot of people run away from it because of cost. Because when you talk about the legal part, there is a cost to it.
Yeah.
When you talk about the education part, there is a cost. If you talk about the financial planning, where we either go the savings way or we go the insurance way, there is a cost.
Yeah.
So I believe if people can sit down. So I think, as you mentioned, costing can be one of the decisions or one of the things people must consider. The cost of healthcare, the cost of therapies, the cost of legal things, and all that. It all comes to the financial side that we are talking about. Has there been a support from siblings? How has been? I mean, I don't know if you are the only child or you are a lot.
There has been support from siblings. I'm definitely not taking care of everything on my own. Absolutely not, you know. And we are scattered all over the globe. You know, some of my siblings are in Ghana, some are in UK, some are here in the US, and there's one in Germany also, right? So we are all over. And this is definitely a joint effort where we are all chipping in various ways that we can to support our parents, right? So definitely it helps. But, you know, I can't stress this enough. Starting it early. We did not start it early. But fortunately, God being good, we were in a place where, you know, we are able to help, right, financially, because we all have good jobs and we're able to help. But if this was the other way around, where, you know, you're struggling and things are really hard, that's where you see the benefit of having started earlier. Okay, if you're starting, your parents are healthy, don't put it away. Start now, little contributions. No amount is too small. Trust me, guys, no amount is too small. Start early. We're doing that today with our the college funds for our kids, right? Putting money away. you know. And Councillor Lucha, what you said about don't put all your investments in your kid, take care of your kids. Absolutely. I actually have a video about that too. I agree with you 100%, right? You should have some money for yourself as well. But yeah, back to that. Starting early is the key. When you start early, you can put small amounts down, because like I said before, you can't come up, it's very difficult. The average person cannot come up with a huge sum of money overnight, right? But when you have that money and it's there, you can always tap into it. And guess what? If you end up not needing it, it's still for you guys, and you can split it however you need to split it and use it for whatever else, right? So you don't really lose. But at least when you have it, when you have a need for it and you've been saving towards this, it would be there for you. So, you know, in my situation, absolutely, my siblings have been helping out. And it's similar for my husband as well. You know, his siblings have also been helping out with the care of their parents. And so it's not been a single-handed effort. There are situations where it's an only child. And if that's the case, then it falls on you. But, you know, there are also situations where there are siblings, but the siblings are not in a position to support, right? With this type of thing that I do, I've encountered a lot of different family situations. I know people that are doing this and it's all on their shoulder, even though they have 3 siblings, 4 siblings. Their siblings are not in a position to help, you know. So just because you have siblings does not always automatically mean you're going to get the help. But that's why I do what, you know, we're doing what we're doing, bringing awareness and saying you should be able to, you know, wrangle each other to, you know, get yourselves together and put in the necessary measures, right? Make sure you're building good relationships with your siblings. Don't be like, oh, I don't talk to this person, I don't talk to that person, it's not my problem. No, you know, when it comes to your parents, you all have a joint responsibility. And the better your relationships, the better you be at managing these things, right? Because otherwise you have little personal issues coming in the way and whatnot, you know, and you don't make any progress. So
all right, thank you so much, Daisy. I mean, our time is fast spent, but I wanted to ask you, I mean, those of you who are now joining, we were talking about aging and how to deal with aging and old age and how to prepare. And this Daisy has given us a lot of tidbits about how to do it. If you want to get more of this and even more beyond this, she has a page where she talks about this daily. She talks about it every week. You can go follow her on Facebook, Unscripted, and I think you are on YouTube as well, right?
Yes, I created a YouTube channel. I haven't started posting there, but I definitely created a YouTube channel, and I would be posting there, you know, starting this week. I am on Instagram as well, Aging Unscripted. So that's another place you can catch me. If, you know, you're on this journey or you have anything that you're looking to begin to do related to what we've been talking about and you don't know where to start from, you know, feel free to drop me a DM, right? You know, send me a message and let's get talking. And honestly, I'm even happy to join your family because I have someone that I'm helping through this process, and she's sharing with me how her siblings are not wanting to do this. And I said to her, you want me to come talk to them? I will come, you know, because sometimes people need to hear the reality of it. You know, this is not, I didn't read a book and come and sit over here, guys. I've dealt with this, you know, and you're juggling this, you're juggling that, you're trying to make it work, right? And so I have a lot of experience, which is why I set out to do this. I want this journey, when somebody comes to it, I want it to be a lot more easier for them. You know, you don't want to be grieving and be worrying about money. You don't want to be grieving and be fighting over assets. You know, you don't because I mean, when death comes, naturally you're going to grieve your parent, right? If it's somebody that you really loved and everything, you're going to be sad. You want to just be able to be sad in peace. Can I just be sad in peace, right? Without worrying about money and this and that, and so is fighting because they want the person to be buried here, and this person said no, they should be buried. You know, you don't want all of that, right? So that's where the planning comes in, you know, and getting ready so that at least the least you can have is just being sad in peace or aging in peace. Right?
I know. So I think a lot of people would need this. Look, sometimes we try to put it aside, but trust me, fortunately for us, I've been through all those phases, and but I know I still have my wife's parents that are alive. So it's gonna be a journey that we have to learn through. And as you said, if anybody needs is in the same situation as a family, as an individual, and you need to learn. I mean, she has walked that path. She has gone through it. She has gone through all the processes, and now she's trying to make it simple for all of us who are in the same thing. I mean, in the same situation. So if you know your parents are alive, you know you yourself you are growing, please go follow her. Let's learn. I mean, the one person is not a reciprocity of wisdom, but she has walked that path, so she has a lot of experiences. This is how do you deal with burnouts? I know this that you talk about it nicely and flawlessly, and it seems like it's
Oh my
easy.
goodness. No,
Oh, my sisters are here. There's a brother in Germany,
no,
so it's
no. Yes, they are
but
all
it's,
supporting, but at the end of the day, I
yeah,
was the one that was running to the hospital. I was the one
exactly
that
my
is
point.
calling 911, and my heart is like racing,
Mm-hmm,
and my mind is all
mm-hmm,
of that, right? So yes, I mean, you can have support, and I'm really really grateful for my siblings that I have them to support in the various ways they can. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, when I go to bed, I was the one that would I can't sleep because I don't know what moments mom is going to be calling for us, right? My husband and I, we can't sleep because we don't know. Like when we open the phone in the morning, the time difference between us and Ghana, the messages that we're going to be seeing. Because sometimes you're like, oh no, we've taken mommy to the hospital with this, she can't breathe well. She did. So it's like you are dealing with it, regardless of how many siblings you have. The one under the same roof taking
mm-hmm,
care of the person,
mm-hmm,
has a whole different level of experience, right? You
yeah.
can get on the phone and say, oh, how are you, Sissy? And I'll tell you whatever I'll tell you. But at the end of the day, I'm still the one that would have to, be in the throes of it, right? So for me, I would say that one of the ways that I dealt with it was just being able to talk with my husband, right? He's been a very very supportive individual on this whole journey. Like I shared before, his parents have also been sick, and now they are no longer with us. May their souls rest in peace. But he was also on a very similar journey with us and with me and my family, and he was really really supportive. He gave me the space that I needed to be able to cry if I needed to cry, and he would sometimes get things done without necessarily saying, he would not say, oh, it's your parents, go do it, right? So for folks, all of you that are married, I would really like to encourage you, don't get into a mindset of, oh, that's your parents and this is my parents, right? When you get married, your spouse's parents become your parents automatically, right? And I know, guys, I know that some of the relationships sometimes are not great with the in-laws and all of that, and that's a whole different matter. But where you are able to really really embrace and support each other, because spousal support is so critical. So many marriages break down because there's no support, because there's no understanding. Your spouse does not understand why your mother or your father has come to live with you, and that was never the plan. They don't understand why you don't have time for them anymore. That you used to have time, you used to be able to cook, you used to do this, you used to, all of these things, right? And
Yeah.
they start complaining. But for me, I've been blessed enough to have a supportive husband that was able to support me through all of these things. Another thing that I joined was an online support group.
Mm-hmm.
Counselor Lee George, you were saying about, sounding a word of caution on the support groups. I agree. There are some groups that actually tend to cause more problems than helpful. But I have to say also that there are some groups that are immensely helpful. The group that I'm part of, that I joined when I started this journey, nobody ever claimed to be a medical expert. And in matter of fact, even when you join the group, the little blurb that they put there says, we are no medical experts here. We are just sharing our viewpoints. We are sharing our
Yeah.
experience. We are sharing what worked for us. And it gives
Yeah.
us the space for everybody to ask a question. And when you receive information, it's information. You have to now take it and go verify or go do whatever you want to do with it, right? But you, as an individual, you don't just take something that somebody says and just run off with it. right? The responsibility is on you to analyze and see, oh, she said blah, blah, blah. Maybe my case is a little different. What part of this information can be useful for me? It may not be the whole thing, but at least it might give you a guidance path to go, right? So, I found the support group really, really, really helpful. I learned so many things in there. Matter of fact, I even learned, I don't know how many of you know here that, an elderly person could have UTI and they would actually be experiencing delirium.
Wow.
Where like hallucinations. And yeah,
Okay.
you would not really relate that to UTI, right? Urinary tract infection. But I learned it in the support group. And when my dad was experiencing it, I mentioned to my mom, I said, hey, mom, I learned about this. And can we get that checked for UTI? And lo and behold, he had an infection.
Wow.
So it's not always bad stuff in these support groups. I just want to put that out there. But you have to be careful. You have to, be responsible enough to take the parts that are, relevant for you and always verify, especially if it's a medical thing, right? Verify that, oh, I read XYZ, ask an expert and make sure that whatever you're consuming is good information. Yeah, so those two, and then God, I would say God got me. God got me through. I've gotten closer to God than any other time. And
Yeah, I know.
it's I was telling you about that song, right? Really lead me
Leads me to
lead me where- I'm like, I was really at the point where I had to trust without borders. When you're going through this, how do you now say, oh, God, in all things give thanks, right? That's the other thing that we say. It's hard to be giving thanks in these moments, but we were tried. I was tried and tested. I felt like, okay, it's nice when you're giving thanks for all the nice things and, oh, thank you God for this, thank you God for it. But when you have 4 of your parents dealing with really, really hard issues, cancer diagnosis, and you're dealing with 2 losses within a year, you're dealing with hospitalization, you're dealing with coma, you're dealing with dementia, right? That's the other thing we're dealing with too. And the person that you've always looked forward to, you've always looked up to, your hero, I'm a daddy's girl, I'm not ashamed to say that, but seeing daddy just declining, and there's nothing you can do. Those are things, really, really difficult things that you have to deal with. And I learned to really lean into God at the end of the day, so I would, these have been my supports.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you have a very good way of dealing with the burnout and how siblings. And in fact, you mentioned your husband, and we want to thank him so much for the support that he has given you. And we salute you, sir, for everything you have been helping our sister with and trying to go through the process together. Guys, it is not easy, but you need to, I mean, as we always say, follow who know road. I mean, she has dealt with it. She has been through it. She has gone through all the stages. She has dealt with the process, the planning. When it comes to the burnout, she has seen it, the financial burnout, the physical burnout, the emotional ones. She has been through it. And she'll be one good person, one resource you can always learn from. She doesn't hold herself as a medical person, but she will walk you through what she has been through, and you can use that as a stepping stone, as a guide for yourself, for your parents, and to deal with this old age. And as we said today, let's prepare. Let's prepare financially. Let's prepare legally. Let's prepare education. Let's be prepared in all aspects. And one thing that Councillor Luchon added was a therapist. And in fact, Sister Izzy confirmed it. And you need to get, I believe that is one thing we shine away from, getting legal advice, getting a specialist on education, getting a specialist on finances. We shun away from it because we think we can do it. I mean, and we label all sort of people with fraud. As somebody said in a comment section, he sells insurance, but anytime he goes talking about insurance, people label him and they think he wants them to die so that the insurance company can get money. But that is not it. We need to start tuning our minds again towards these things, these conversations. Our churches have to start preaching about these things so that people will get educated. because I know most of Africans, we are a lot more religious. So
Mhm.
depending on the kind of religion you are, we are encouraging everyone. If your pastor is not preaching about old age and about death, start telling him to start preaching about it. Yes, it's a reality that will catch up with all of us. And in fact,
Yeah.
most of them are going old. Most of them are 60, 70-year-olds. And these conversations must be, something that is part of our daily living so that we don't get surprised, we don't get burnout, we don't. I'm sure if you have gotten this kind of guidance, you wouldn't feel the burnout as maybe you have felt it.
Mhm.
So follow her. Her page name is Aging Unscripted. Aging Unscripted on all social media. Just go and you see her beautiful face because she doesn't look what she has been through. That
Thank
is
God for
one.
that, right?
You don't look what you have been through. You don't
Thank
at
God
all.
for that.
Yes, you don't look what you've been through. A mother of two, a house, a wife, an IT manager, a gym instructor, a fitness coach. Look, sisters, you don't look what you've been through. You have done
It's
so
the,
much,
the
and God
grace of
bless
God.
you.
The grace of
God bless
God.
you so much for your time. We know we have taken a lot of your time,
I
and we thank Counselor for adding his voice to the little discussion. And I believe we have all learned something today. If nothing at all, you have learned that you need to plan for
yes.
old age.
Yeah.
And I keep saying it, don't grow old and be broke. Because these two cannot happen to you at the same time.
Yes, absolutely. One last
Yes.
thing to add, guys.
Mhm.
It's really as Dr. O, Mr. O, sorry, was summarizing everything. One important thing that I remembered that I don't want to end this live without mentioning is the support that I had from my parents,
Mm,
the most closest friends, their best
mm,
friends. Matter of fact, my mom's best friend came to live with us for a few months so she can support. So my advice to us all is, as we grow up, as we journey through life, let's surround ourselves with people that will be there for us when we need them. Okay, not just people that will just party with us and go do the fun things. When things
mm.
get hard, you're going through chemo, your husband is declining, he's falling apart, and everybody is just really struggling. Having someone that would step in, move from their home and come and live with you so they can support you, guys. So Mommy Sedina, if you're watching this, I am so grateful to you for all the support that you've given to us. And Auntie Trudy, all of you guys, so many people that I cannot mention everyone, but we are so grateful. Auntie Janet, all of you that took time, from your own families and whatever else you have to do, and came and stayed with us. The phone calls, the prayers, the supports, sending all kinds of things to us. It's been an amazing support that we've had. And I think it comes from the quality of life that my parents led, right? The relationship that they had with those people. That is why they were able to, these friends of theirs were able to do what they did for us when we needed it the most, right? It's not a journey that has ended. We are still going through it. But we having all these people have helped us, so we, now that we are talking about it and trying to also prepare for our aging when the time comes, let's ensure that we are surrounding ourselves with very good people, quality people that will be there for us, and likewise we can be there for them, when the time comes. So
Thank you so much, Stacy. We are grateful for your time. We are grateful for your education. We are grateful for showing us the path. Guys, don't tell me the video is too long. You need to take your time and watch it. And from this week, Sister Stacy is going to break it down bit by bit, and you'll be sharing on her pages, and I'll be sharing as well for her. And please make sure you go follow her and learn. There is nothing, she's not charging you to learn. She's going to share her experiences, learn from her experiences, learn from how they deal with, sudden sicknesses. All right. Learn from how she deal with financial burdens, learn from how she deal when it has to go to therapists. These are things we can all learn. Learn to deal with old age when you are young as we are. it is never too late.
Yeah.
It is never too late at whatever stage of your life. Get a therapist, go to counseling, get all this education, get financial help, get everything situated, get legal documentations to back your old age. That is one thing I am going to do now. I never thought of it, but now I'm thinking about it. I'm going to take a step towards that. How I want to be handled. How do you want to be handled when you are sick, when you are dead, when you are doing all those things? I thank you so much for staying with us. Those of you who engage with us,
I know.
I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Yes.
And I truly, truly appreciate all of you. Who are those? Safua, Eunice, and all, Letitia, Nana Yaboa, everyone, Sister
Thank
Amma,
you
Councilor
all.
Luchu.
Yes.
We really want to thank you for taking your time. We know you are a busy man. We really appreciate you for taking time of your busy schedule to add your voice when it comes to the therapy session. Benedicta, thank you guys. And I know it is late, but I wish you all the best. Have a great week. We will definitely interact again on this page, and keep following Sister AC on Aging Unscripted. Aging Unscripted. You have seen her page. Please go follow her, learn about old age and how to deal with your parents that have aged and you yourself. I wish you the best, and I'll see you when I see you. Have a blessed night. Have a blessed week. Have a blessed day. Bye bye.